Let's learn step by step about the investigative activities at the scene after a fire. What, how, and when to find out the causes of the fire. Let us carry out an analysis on the example of this fire in practice. The causes of fires are considered to be arson, ignition, spontaneous combustion, defects in machinery, electrical installations, heating devices or mechanical devices, and causing an explosion of explosives, spatial explosions, catastrophes in air, land or water traffic, or a terrorist attack. Fire investigation (CAFI) is defined as procedural and forensic activities that consist in examining the condition of the object of inspection. Their main purpose is to objectively reconstruct the course of the event, as well as to collect, secure and record evidence for the purposes of criminal proceedings to the necessary extent. An examination of the crime scene provides the first information about the crime, and therefore this activity primarily serves to detect the perpetrator. Arriving at the scene, 1. Contact the manager of rescue operations at the scene. 2. Determine the dangerous places on the fire site and the moment when the inspection can begin. 3. Obtain information on how the fire spread. 4. Familiarize yourself with the characteristics of the tested object or area. Evaluating the scene then, in the event of a fire in the building, carry out the inspection first from the outside to assess the following elements: 1. Type of external structure of the building. 2. Type of connected utilities. 3. Place, size and type of openings, window, ventilation, technological openings etc. 4. Size and intensity of thermal damage and charring of structural elements of the building. 5. Directions of fire spread outwards. For example, the incident took place in a single-family, detached house belonging to RR. The building is 1 story with a usable attic and has a basement photo. 74. There is a gas system to the house, but the gas is not used. The building is made in a traditional brick structure. On June 10, 2013, at about 2200 hours, Mr. RR left home and went to meet his friends. During the absence of the owner, no one was at home. The victim returned home on June 10th at about 3:50 a.m. After opening the front door of the house, he noticed a very large and thick smoke inside the building. The PRRR immediately called the fire brigade. Documenting the scene be determined and documenting 1. What has been burned or destroyed. 2. The extent of the destruction or damage to the object or objects in question. 3. The place of the fire and the source of the fire. 4. Probable cause of the fire. 5. Development and directions of fire spread. 6. The possibility of further spread of fire outside the facility where the fire originated and in which it spread. The kitchen and living room, apart from the door frame entrance from the second hall, has no traces of direct fire influence. In the kitchen part, the process of burning the soot deposited on the ceiling is visible. In the part in question, the walls and furniture are strongly visible. In the living room there is a fireplace which was used only in winter. There are no traces in the area of the fireplace that could indicate that the fire started within it. All walls and ceilings are devoid of plasterboards. Photo. 81. The floor is covered with a thick layer of debris from the plastering of the room. On the front wall of the bedroom there is an entrance to the terrace. The rooms located in the basement bear traces of a rescue and firefighting operation. There is no damage caused by high temperatures. In one of the rooms there is a window which is broken. Processing evidence at the scene in determining the cause of a fire, the most important task is to detect the focus of the fire, i.e., the place where it started. This will be possible if we reveal and investigate traces of thermal damage and the direction of the fire spread. On the basis of the analysis of the nature of thermal damage, it is possible to determine the place or area where the fire was initiated. These can be the following marks or changes: completely charred, burnt and burnt combustible objects, mainly wooden and wood-based elements, plastics damage and melting of the electrical system, paints etc., short circuits, thermal destruction, charring, burnouts, the condition of the glazing sooty, cracked, melted, missing soot at openings, window frames, ventilation grills, direction of smoke opposite to the fire center. Because heat is transferred through the fire center by convection currents and radiation towards less heated materials, places where smoke plumes occur, with changes in the color of materials from the environment, traces on walls, ceilings and plaster soot. Places where plaster falls off, cracks in building walls, or the so-called swelling of plaster as a result of overheating of walls, especially when floors are covered with rubble or fragments of ceilings. The fire usually spreads upwards, so when looking for the focus of a fire, you should always look at the lowest places with traces of its impact. Most often, such a trace is characterized by local burning of the material or strong thermal destruction of non-flammable or hardly flammable materials and structural elements. It occurs at the initial stage of fire development and often lasts until the end of its course. Completing the investigation, compare data from the situation before the fire and assess the possibility of primary ignition of materials and substances in the fire area. It is also necessary to analyze which changes were caused by the fire, which by the perpetrator, and which by people involved in the incident or participating in rescue operations. The technique of inspecting the fire site focuses on selecting the area, indicating the place of the fire, and material evidence that can be downloaded for further expert research. It is very important that when working with disclosed and secured material evidence, the properties of the revealed traces are not destroyed or changed. Therefore, when looking for traces and other material evidence, such methods and ways should be used that will prevent the possibility of damage or change of the examined site. Professional search for and protection of fire traces is only valuable if it is supplemented by scientific expertise. Only then do these activities contribute to a comprehensive explanation of the circumstances of the fire and to the identification of possible perpetrators of its occurrence. Analyzing the material gathered in the case, it is concluded that the fire started in the middle part of the bedroom. The above room is the only one with such extensive damage caused by high temperatures. Removal of a thick layer of debris made it possible to identify the most intense burns in the floor coinciding with the above area. Burnouts throughout the house decrease as you move away from the bedroom room, as evidenced by the descriptive part presented in point 13.1. The above arguments support the thesis that the fire started in the bedroom, malfunction of the electrical system. A detailed inspection of the electrical installation in the bedroom excludes the possibility of a fire as a result of, for example, a short circuit or other faulty state of the electrical system. Starting a fire, ignition of fire is understood as the unintentional causing of a fire as a result of human carelessness. The most common initiators of this wide group of fires include cigarette butts, smouldering matches, candles that can be used as a source of light left too close to combustible materials, etc. In the bedroom room, the remains of a plug powering an electric iron were found. The above iron was equipped according to the victim with automatic power supply only and was never disconnected from the socket. The automatic shut-off system cuts off the electrical supply after the iron is not in use for a while. Therefore, the iron could not have contributed to the fire, and the ignition of the fire is eliminated as the cause of the fire. The circumstances of the incident and the nature of the fire traces left behind indicate that the cause of the fire was arson. Arson is understood as deliberately causing a fire. Indications of possible arson include the presence of more than one fire site, the presence of flammable substances, and possible signs of burglary. Deliberately causing a fire is often an attempt to cover up the traces of other crimes. According to the information obtained from the victim, there was a burglary in the house, as a result of which M.IN audio-visual equipment was stolen from the living room photo.86. The above thesis is confirmed by a broken window in the basement through which burglars could enter.